The Wages of Sin, a stuffed wombat production.
This is the Shirehampton Stuffed Wombat Society. Sorry, I'll read that again. This is the Nottingham Stuffed Wombat Society, robbing the poor to give to the rich, with their performance of The Wages of Sin. Our story begins as a man in his late 50s hurries down a leafy suburban street. The rather outdated font on the road sign indicates that this is Peveril Gardens. Meanwhile, a prim, well-dressed woman of indeterminate age, walking 3 dogs, shuffles busily down another street. The pair of them will shortly converge at the intersection. Oof, my apologies, I didn't see you coming. Miss Lovelace, nice to see you. Sorry I can't...
Good day to you, Mr. Zung. You're in a bit of a rush, aren't you? You almost trod on poor Mitzi here.
Yes, I'm really sorry. How are your little shits?
And you quite startled poor Daphne. She takes fright so easily.
Indeed, indeed. How are your lovely little shih tzus today? Little fluffy balls?
They're pedigree Pekingese. Don't you know a Pekingese when you see one?
Quite forgot. As I was saying, little fluffy balls of joy, aren't they?
Thank you. They've had their weekly appointment with the local canine coiffeurs. Lulu hates it. She's not keen on water, but the results are worth it.
Sorry, Miss Lovelace. I really have to rush. I'm late for an appointment. Good day.
Well, how rude.
Mugg, apologies for my tardiness. I ran into Miss Lovelace on the way home from town. She insisted on gassing on as usual. I would have taken avoiding action if I'd spotted her, because I got waylaid in town too. One of those blasted delivery cyclists stopped suddenly and decided to open his backpack right in front of me. Forced me to take evasive action. Unfortunately, I didn't spot the banana skin on the pavement, slipped, and went arse over tit. Twisted my ankle to boot. Look, come in. It looks as if it's going to rain, and I desperately need a cup of tea to fortify myself. There, park yourself on the sofa while I put the kettle on. My goodness, it really is chucking it down out there now.
I was beginning to wonder where you'd got to. It's very unlike you to be late. I thought it wasn't going to be on time either. There was a dreadful kerfuffle at the house opposite me. Poor old Mrs. Honeyman looked very distressed.
Oh, what happened to her?
Well, apparently she's recently had an attic extension built. Nice little bedroom with an ensuite shower room and WC. From what I gather, the plumber made a mistake when he installed the macerator toilet. Connected the pump backwards. And poor old Mrs. Honeyman made use of the facilities, so to speak. She flushed said WC, only to be showered with, well, you can imagine. It seems that matters were made worse by the fact that there had been a blockage elsewhere in the system and several days' worth of deposits had backed up.
How unfortunate. I hope she's getting suitable compensation from the plumber.
You'd hope so. She's going to need several bars of carbolic soap and some pretty strong perfume to mask the smell, poor thing.
Your tea?
Thanks. What's that you've circled in the paper? Is that the financial section?
Yes, my old aunt died and left me some money in her will. I was thinking of investing it in the stock market. The financial column here says that Old Nick Energy is one to watch. Thought I might take a punt on that.
Never heard of them. Maybe their parent company's Russian, you know, with a name like that. Crumbs, look at that rain. That poor delivery cyclist is going to get drenched.
Which one?
That one. The pizza delivery one just heading down the road.
Ah, sorry, missed him. Yes, it can't be a pleasant job in this sort of weather. It does seem to be a growth industry now, though, you know, gig economy and all that. I've lost count of the different firms in the market. I mean, I recognise Just to Deliver, Gunter Eats and the Eateroo ones, but I've seen quite a lot of the...
Oh, crikey, that was close. I don't remember the forecast including thunder and lightning today.
Yes, most unusual. Well, you never can predict the good old British weather. Anyway, as I was saying, I've seen quite a lot of those delivery cyclists with the black backpacks. I had trouble making out the company name. Bob Nabley, I think it was. Pretty poor marketing to have such a dark font on a black bag. It was one of their riders that caused me to slip this morning. I have a good mind to ring the company and give them a piece of my mind.
It would serve them right too. I think it was one of their riders that I just saw heading down the road. Probably a pizza delivery. Bob Nabley does sound very Italian. Look, thanks for the tea. I ought to go, though. I told Mrs. Honeyman I'd try and help her with the cleaning up process. Can I lend her my dehumidifier to try and dry out the room? I'll be in touch.
Look, if you have to rush off, would you like to meet for lunch tomorrow?
Perfect. How about that new restaurant in town? You know, the one with the tables out on the pavement.
You mean Tina's Tongue Twister?
That's the one.
Excellent idea. I'll leave you to book. Let's hope tomorrow's weather is more accommodating. Anyway, safe journey and take care on the pavements. It looks like that downpour has created quite a few large puddles.
I will. Toodle pip. My word, Zung, you look a bit frazzled.
Oh dear, what a morning.
Why, what's happened?
So, you remember I mentioned that I bumped into Miss Lovelace before I met you yesterday?
Yes.
And you remember that thunder and lightning we had while we were having tea?
Yes.
Well, apparently, as she was walking down Arcadia Drive, a bolt of lightning hit poor old Mitzi, and being so small, it pretty much blew her to smithereens.
My word, that's awful.
Yes, she said she was jolly grateful it didn't hit her, or the delivery rider on the opposite side of the road. However, and here is the tragedy of the story, in her shock, she let go of the dog's leads. Daphne took fright, obviously, given how timid she is at the best of times, ran straight into the road and was run over by, well, of all vehicles, a Waggy Pooch's van. You know, the local dog-walking company. Poor Miss Lovelace didn't know who to attend to first, Mitzi or Daphne, and therefore quite forgot about poor Lulu.
Oh, the poor woman. What terribly bad luck. Well, at least she has Lulu for comfort.
Ah, alas not. Lulu was so terrified by the situation that she ran off. Miss Lovelace discovered her drowned in an unusually large pothole a few yards down the road. Lulu did so hate water. What a way to go.
Goodness, what a tale of woe. I hope you did your best to console the poor lady.
I did my best, but she's still as deaf as a post from the noise of the thunderbolt. I mostly had to communicate using hand gestures. I tried patting my chest over my heart, you know, in an attempt to convey my heartfelt sorrow at her situation. I do hope she didn't construe it as a mere bout of indigestion.
Crumbs, what a story. Still, I'm sure a stiff drink will take your mind off things.
I wish it would.
Don't tell me there's more.
Sadly, there is. Bit of bad news. Remember that comedy I wrote, you know, The Great Teeth Thief?
Vaguely.
Bloody BBC rejected it. I got a letter this morning saying it was too derivative and such like. When you compare it with the tosh they broadcast nowadays, you know, well, I'd say it was a bloody masterpiece.
Quite so.
Are you ready to order?
Good grief, you only look 11.
I'm 12.
12?
Yes. Haven't you heard about the staff shortages in the hospitality sector? Now all the migrant workers have gone back home to Europe.
How old is the chef then? 13?
Hey, Fred. How old are you?
I'm 4.
4?
He's very advanced for his age. Gordon Ramsay speaks very highly of him. His fish finger surprise is, well, surprising.
How on earth does he reach the rings on the stove?
Oh, he's got a set of steps.
So what's he doing out here?
Oh, just getting customer feedback. He likes to check that people enjoyed their meal.
Did you enjoy your meal?
Yes, it was very nice, thank you. The fish fingers were surprisingly crispy.
So, are you ready to order, sir?
What? I think so. We'll share the starter on the set menu. Then I'll have the spicy pasta and flatbread combo. And make sure it's served on a plate. I don't want to see it turn up on a wooden board or a jumbo-sized baked beans tin.
Certainly, sir. And what can I get for you, sir?
Could I have the Cornish Sicilian special with a side order of relishes, please?
And what would you both like to drink?
Well, summer wouldn't be summer without some Pimm's, so could we share a jug of that too?
Okay, so that's an antipasto, a plated pitta, pepper pastrami, and pesto pasta. The pasty and pizza pieces platter, pickles and pitcher of Pimm's. Will that be all?
On second thoughts, could we both have a plate of baked beans?
A very wise choice, sir. Chef will have your order ready shortly.
Oh, look, there's one of those whatchamacallit delivery riders. Bub Nabley, wasn't it?
Where?
Over by the man with the crutches. I wonder if the food he's delivering has shifted in his bag.
Why do you say that?
Because he appears to be about to open it and check the contents.
Crikey, poor man, did you see that? The man with the crutches, both of them just snapped, left him sprawled on the floor. I hope the pizza delivery man is going to help.
Looks like he's not taking the slightest bit of notice. Oi, mate, give the man a hand. Quick, Zung, you go help the man with the crutches, and I'll go and accost Pizza Boy and teach him about compassion for his fellow man. Well, that was most peculiar. I asked him why he didn't help, and he said he had another urgent delivery to do. So naturally I asked him what he was delivering, and he said nothing.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Frankly, neither do I. When I pressed him further, I found out that he simply goes to one of several locations around the city and opens his backpack to do a pickup. Then he rides to wherever the app thingy on his phone tells him to drop off the so-called delivery. Once he's there, all he has to do is open the bag again. It's always the same. Empty at pickup and empty at delivery. I said I was surprised he was being paid, but he assured me he was. Said he got credited in Bitcoin.
Those things. Yes, you hear a lot about them on the news. Apparently, the global energy used to create them equates to the consumption of a small country. Wickedly wasteful, if you ask me. Anyway, the job sounds like money for old rope to me. How on earth did he land such a cushy number?
He said a friend told him about it. He simply texted a number to join. 66899, I think he said it was. Then you download an app for pickup and delivery instructions.
What about the delivery bag?
Ah, now that's the really weird bit. He said once you've been accepted, you're instructed to pick up your bag from the back of the local Prada store at the stroke of midnight. He said it rather freaked him out, but since he needed the money, he didn't ask any questions.
Did he say who the owner was? Were they Italian?
I don't think he knew, old boy. He seemed very keen to get on with his next delivery.
You know, I think this warrants further investigation.
I couldn't agree more. I'll see what I can find out on the internet.
Splendid. Why don't you come round tomorrow and share what you've found out? In the meantime, I'll keep my eye out for other riders and see if I might have a quick word with one or two of them.
Perfect. Let's settle up here. Shall we split the bill?
Help yourself to a biscuit. The tea is just brewing. So, did you manage to discover anything?
Not much. There's almost no mention of them on the internet at all. I was at least expecting some TripAdvisor type reviews. You know, terrible service, the fresh air they delivered today smelt of fish, I demand a refund and was told to shove it. Or maybe, my invisible man outfit arrived today, I've put it down somewhere and haven't been able to find it again since. So glad they offered such a speedy service. I got a new one delivered within 24 hours.
So what did you find?
That they can't spell. At least, if their marketing tagline's anything to go by.
And that is?
Delivery rearranged. Missed out the second E. Not even an apostrophe to suggest it's ironic or trying to sound hip. It's like spelling library or February with only one R. Just embarrassing. Which would be with two R's, of course. I wasn't implying... Oh, never mind, you get my point.
Indeed.
So what did you turn up?
Well, I managed to flag down a few of them, but there didn't seem to be any obvious pattern. The pick-up and delivery locations appear to be pretty random. It's not as if we're dealing with a Class A drug distribution network with a central manufacturing hub. I did note down the addresses of some of the pickups they said they used regularly.
And did those locations share anything in common?
Nothing I can spot. Maybe you should join up, be a mole in the organisation.
Can't, old boy. Those delivery bags would play havoc with my sciatica. Why don't you join?
I think you're forgetting that I never learned to ride a bike.
That would be a rather sizable impediment. OK, let's just gather more intel on their work patterns and see if it'll provide us with more insight into this shady organisation. How about meeting up at my place next week for a change?
It's a bit dark. Would you mind putting the light on, please?
Sorry, I forgot you're not used to the low light levels here. It's one of the downsides to living in a basement flat. It can be a bit dark, even in midsummer.
Ah, that's better. So, what did you find? Did the addresses I sent you form any pattern?
Well, if they did, it's not an obvious one. Look, I've plotted them on a map of the city here. To the untutored eye, I'd say they're pretty evenly distributed. Did any of the riders give you any clue as to the choice of pickup location?
No, they appear to be as clueless as we are. They're just happy to make the trips and earn the cash.
I'm not sure I'd be bothered either. I mean, they don't seem to be carrying anything, so why not pick up the consignment and just ignore the delivery?
Ah, I did point that out to one of them. She visibly shuddered when I even suggested it. Said that she'd tried it once and had a nasty accident about 5 minutes later. Hasn't done it since. From what I gather, it sounds like almost every rider has tried this once and regretted it.
The chances of that happening to all of them can't just be a statistical anomaly.
There was one rider who avoided a tumble, but said her boyfriend chucked her for another man that very evening. She hadn't the slightest inkling that he was gay.
Bad news and bad luck all round then. Jot that down and add it to our file of information, will you?
OK, I'll just make a note. Brings bad news and bad luck to... Hang on. What did we reckon the company was called?
Bob Nabley. We thought they were probably Italian.
I don't know if it's my passion for crosswords or just a fluke, but there's a bit of a pattern to the initial letters of the words I just wrote down and the name of the company. Brings bad news and bad luck. BBNABL. We're just missing an O and an I.
How about, Bringers of Bad News and Bad Luck something?
Incorporated.
Bad news and bad luck. Now those would certainly be very ephemeral packages. Not particularly pleasant ones either.
What did you say their tagline was?
Delivery rearranged. Why would you want to rearrange a delivery of bad news or bad luck?
Didn't you say the second E was missing?
Yes.
So, delivery rearranged would be devilry. And didn't you say that the riders picked up their bags behind Prada?
It's got to be a coincidence.
And the fact that the riders are paid in Bitcoin. That power company I was thinking of investing in is called Old Nick, or with a suitable apostrophe, Old Nick. Doesn't that trouble you?
Crikey Moses!
Show me the map again.
Here you go.
Look at that collection point in the centre of town. It's very close to the cathedral.
Interesting. Whoa, look, there's another one close to that church directly to the north.
Yes, and this one here mirrors that church there.
So it does.
Look, here's a mosque and a synagogue, and there 2 pickup points mirroring the places of worship across the city.
But why?
No idea. I think it's time for a stakeout.
Good idea. It's almost lunchtime, and I've not got a lot in. Which restaurant did you have in mind?
No, not a stake out, a stakeout. You know, surveillance.
A bit hungry. Wasn't thinking straight. OK, you pick a church. I'll monitor the corresponding pickup location. We should both record the times for anything of note and see if a pattern emerges.
I'm on it, old boy.
Do you want to go first?
OK, so according to my notes, I recorded 3 people going into the church at 11:07, 14:24 and 16:11 respectively. The first and last looked like they'd gone to pray and were only there about 5 minutes each. The middle one had just come to clean the church. What happened at your end?
Only 2 pickups, and they were at 11:11 and 16:15 precisely. Not quite the match we were hoping for.
Unless they arrived seeking forgiveness or absolution?
I'm not sure I follow.
Well, suppose they came in wanting to confess to some minor sin. They do a bit of praying, promise to be a better person and all that, say amen and are forgiven.
I'm not sure it quite works that way, but carry on.
OK, but suppose the universe conserves sin, a sort of yin-yang thing. In that case, their sin is simply repackaged and then redelivered to some other poor unsuspecting sod.
Nice theory. So I wonder what would happen if somebody blessed the delivery rider before they got a chance to make their delivery.
That reminds me of what one of the riders said when we first started our investigation. Of course, it didn't mean anything to me back then. He mentioned that he'd made a pickup once when his hay fever was really bad. He was just about to set off when he sneezed. Apparently, the local priest was passing and said, "Bless you." Moments later, the app on his phone pinged, indicating that the transaction had been aborted, but it still credited him for the work.
I wonder if that would hold true for all clergy, imams, rabbis and the like.
Why?
Because I think I can see a money-making opportunity here.
Would you like to elucidate?
One of us joins the clergy, while the other takes up employment with Bob Nabley. The one in employment starts with some minor sin to confess, goes to church, confesses to the other. A Bob Nabley order is generated. They are then blessed again, but earn some Bitcoin in the process. Of course, these are ill-gotten gains and therefore something of a sin. Hence, another order is generated. Repeat ad nauseum. We could make a fortune.
A brilliant idea, except for 2 minor flaws.
Which are?
First, you don't just get accepted into the clergy. That takes years of study. Second, if we're not co-located, it's going to be tricky to coordinate the blessings. In fact, I don't know if it would work even if I blessed you by phone. Might even make things worse. You know, technology being the work of the devil and all that.
Steady on. Those gadgets aren't all that bad. But humour me here. Is there anything to stop us setting up our own religion? You know, with our own place of worship right on the centre line of the city, so the pickup point is co-located with the church? That way, sinner and blesser could be almost side by side. I think the sinner come Bob Nabley employee would have to step in and out of the so-called place of worship for this to work properly, though.
So what would we call our religion?
Does it matter? I mean, if the Pastafarians can worship the flying spaghetti monster, we could be anything. The Church of St. Luigi, for example.
You're naming our church after that pizza joint down the road where the owner died at work.
Yes, why not? Did he not die for us diners?
I'm not sure that qualifies him being made a saint.
His quattro stagioni pizza tasted pretty miraculous.
Fair enough. So, what would our sacred text be, our sacrament, our blessing?
Oh, I don't know. How about the menu for the text? Dough balls and a quartered pizza and a tomato juice for the sacraments, and a pizza be with you for the blessing.
That would basically make it some loaves of bread. Don't tell me you were thinking of 5 of them, a cross-cut pizza and a Virgin Bloody Mary. We're in for a right smiting if we're not careful.
Point taken. We probably need the blessing for this to work.
You're forgetting that we don't have a church building.
We can use my old army surplus tent. That way we can just find a quiet piece of park somewhere on the centre line of the city and get to work.
I still think we're asking for a smiting.
Come on, we could use a little extra cash. I've always fancied a trip to the Caribbean. I'll sign up as a Bob Nabley rider this evening. All being well, I'll have my bag by tonight. Just need to pump up the tyres on my bike.
I'd forgotten just how difficult putting up a tent could be. It's quite substantial, isn't it?
We need the room for you to be able to stand up. Oh, and your waiter's uniform is a very nice touch, though.
I thought so. Where do you want me?
Just in front of the upturned bucket with the pizza oven on it. You can deliver your blessings from there. Might be a good idea to hold a copy of the menu too. You know, to make the blessings sound more authentic and sincere.
Good idea. So, are we ready to start?
I think so. I'll just bring up the app. Step outside the tent. Just briefly consider how wrong this whole enterprise is. And step into the tent and seek forgiveness. What are you waiting for?
What? Oh, yes. Pizza be with you.
I step outside and wait for the app. Open the bag, ready to set off for my delivery. Now you bless me again.
Pizza be with you.
Transaction cancelled. And there's the payment. Oh my God.
Careful. Remember, we don't want a smiting.
Sorry, let's try it again. Thoughts of cash. Step in.
Pizza be with you.
I step outside. Wait for the order to come through. Open the bag.
Pizza be with you.
Transaction cancelled. And there's another payment.
Is it me or is it getting a bit hotter in here?
Must be your imagination. Quick, let's speed this up.
Pizza be with you. 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 Pizza be... What happened?
The bag exploded. What's that awful smell?
There is a somewhat sulphurous odour in the air. Goodness, I do feel warm.
Ah, a hot priest. Maybe you're reabsorbing some of the energy used to create the bitcoins. Just be glad your head didn't twist off like in that film.
I'm glad you didn't mention that possibility before we started. I'm very attached to my head. Not sure I'd like it just, to unscrew itself.
Don't think about it. Just look at the money we've made.
Oh, my word. I think this calls for a celebration. Let's get this tent down and head to the pub.
Excellent idea. I'll just start. Can you hear a buzzing sound?
No.
Seems to be coming from over there.
You mean in the direction of that big black cloud?
Yes, it's got a hint of yellow in it too. Wait, it's getting bigger.
It appears to be made up of little tiny dots. Yellow and black. Striped tiny dots.
Tiny, flying yellow and black dots. My God, that's a lot of wasps.
I said we were in for a smiting.
Run!
The Wages of Sin was written by Tim Reed and starred Richard Hall as the announcer and Dick Zung. Tim Reed was Timothy Mugg, Jill Barrington was Miss Lovelace, Florence Smith was the waitress, Freddie Gorton was the chef, Sarah Gorton was the customer, and Beth McCann provided the musical interludes. Sound effects were the work of the devil, and it was a stuffed wombat production.